number one reason why entrepreneurs give up is not because they're not good enough, it's because they don't get paid fast enough. It's how to get paid fast. It's not get rich quick, it's get paid quick. The problem with that is when you're starting out, you need some skills to make that thing work. How do you do that as a beginner? That's hard. This is the fastest way to get started and have it done in 5 days. You can launch a tiny challenge. You don't have to learn speaking or tech or have a big list or have all the things that make it very hard because it's
You have sold $1 million offer.
Yes.
What exactly goes into $1 million offer?
Everybody wants to know what is in a $1 million offer. So we launched
Welcome to Founders Playbook Podcast, the ultimate guide for entrepreneurs to build their empires, increase profits, and become great leaders. I'm your host, Nelson, founder and CEO of Vibes Creative, Australia's leading video podcast agency. Let's get down to business. Welcome back to another episode. Today's guest went from being an optometrist to become an 8-figure coach. He has made over $20 million helping coaches get clients through the Tiny Challenge model, a new way to scale one-on-one coaching. Please welcome the legend, the one and only, Mr. Richmond Dinh.
What an intro, Nelson. I'm so glad to be here. So glad to fly out from Sydney too. This is, been on a couple of podcasts, but this has been an incredible opening and just your warmth and your energy. Just love it, man.
Let's just get started, man. How do you go from being an optometrist to an 8-figure entrepreneur?
Well, it's easy because no one wants to become an optometrist. And when you do, no one wants to stay an optometrist. I have only met 2 optometrists that say, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to be an optometrist, you know what I mean? But the vast majority, 99%, don't want to be. And even dentistry, I don't know, people grow up. And when I grow up, I want to be a dentist. Like, I was only that because of my parents. And so my parents said, study hard, good job, doctor, dentist, lawyer, optometrist, pharmacist, all that kind of stuff. So it's not something I wanted. So it was easy because I knew it's what I didn't want to do anyway, and it's not a fulfilling job. So if you're in a job that's not fulfilling, it is probably the catalyst for change. But if you're in a job that's somewhat you're content with, that's harder to change. So I believe dissatisfaction is the catalyst, and I was really dissatisfied with my job. I wasn't content. I was very, very unhappy with my job. So that was the first thing. It got me curious of what else was out there. And so curiosity led to me getting a life coach, doing personal development, and immersing myself in this whole industry. And I fell in love with it. And that's when I thought I could become a coach. I could become an entrepreneur. I could get into this whole personal development space. And that was what I was passionate about. And then I did it. And I just decided, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to get the right mentors. I'm going to get the right advice. And I invested a lot in mentorship. And that was 8.5 years ago. And it's kind of, the rest is history, I guess.
2 fun facts with that. I'm actually a qualified dentist
from
Venezuela. So that's my background. So your story resonates so much with me because similar to you, I also had to make a decision at some point. I was like, you know what? Dentistry is not it. I don't.
You don't look like a dentist.
Yeah, well, look, that's what it feels now like a lifetime when I was, because it's been almost a decade since I arrived in Australia and basically, had to earn my place here and slowly and surely build what it is now, the number one podcast agency that we're currently building in Australia and then the world. But yeah, fun fact that resonates with me. And the second fun fact is that I've only ever been to an optometrist once, and it was because there was a free spot on my university back then that they were doing like a free eye check, and I was told I had a 20/20 vision.
Yeah.
So basically my vision was as good as it can get, which awesome, man. Now let's just start breaking down for people. What exactly is a tiny challenge?
Yes, great question. So I want you to think about like if you're a beginner coach, it's made for beginners and you need to market yourself because you can't just open up a website and have a link there that says book a free discovery call and you wake up wishing that tomorrow you got 20 calls booked in. Like that's not going to happen. And some people think, just create a sales funnel, and you create this crazy sales funnel and put your $2,000 program in there and go to sleep and you think tomorrow you're going to wake up and make money while you sleep. So you have to actively market yourself. And currently the ways to market yourself is you could create a podcast, which you could do. You could create a YouTube channel. You could run a webinar, a virtual workshop, an event, a VSL, a group challenge, like a 5-day challenge. Like all those are ways to actively market yourself to get a paying customer online, particularly in the coaching or expert space. The problem with that is when you're starting out, you need some skills to make that thing work. So for example, running a webinar, you need to learn how to speak to an audience. Whether it's 10 people, 5 people, or 100 people, or on Zoom, or live, where it is, you have to now learn the skill of speaking. If you don't have the skill of speaking, your webinars are probably going to flop because no one wants to stick to the end because you're not engaging. Then once you learn speaking, then you have to learn all the tech involved with running a webinar. And then that's complicated as well. Then after that, you have to learn how to sell one-to-many, do a presentation, do a pitch. And then after that, you have to learn the marketing. How do I fill it up? What if no one shows up? What if only 2 people show up? All that kind of stuff. Then the back end, the follow-up sequence. So just for webinar itself, there's about 5 skills you have to learn to make webinars work. So do they work? 100%. We run them, but we know because we have the skills to make them work. Then there's a VSL, then events, then there's workshops, and there's skills involved with running a podcast. You have to be able to ask great questions, build rapport, make the guests comfortable, have an audience, be able to market great hooks. How do you do that as a beginner? That's hard. And then there's a group challenge. Like group challenges are awesome, builds a lot of trust and reciprocity, but it's 5 times harder than a webinar because you got to have people for 5 days. So a tiny challenge removes all the stress or the overwhelm. You don't have to learn speaking or tech or have a big list or have all the things that make it very hard because it's a 5-day challenge that's done one-on-one with you and one other person. And that is it, which means you don't have to launch. You get a 100% show rate because all 5 calls are agreed upon. You don't have to worry about what time should I do it on or anything like that. You don't have to worry about the tech because you pick up your phone and you make a call. You don't have to worry about learning how to speak. You don't have to worry about learning how to sell one-to-many. You don't even have to have a super clear, sharp offer because you get all the feedback from that person when you're coaching them one-on-one for 5 days anyway. And so everything becomes easier with a tiny challenge, and everyone that's listening to this can get started right now because you can find one person and you can start literally in an hour. Like that's how easy and fast and simple it is to get started.
There's quite a few things to unpack here, right? When it comes to this particular model. But I want to unpack how exactly did you came up with the tiny challenge?
It was my obsession, and I don't mean this like in a kind of egotistical way, but I really am obsessed with getting my clients results. And I beat myself up more than anyone else when my clients don't win. And so we've been helping this avatar for almost 7 years now, like the startup beginner coach. And not once have I ever thought about trying to change niches. So I always ask myself the question, what's the quickest, simplest, easiest way to help our clients get results? And so admittedly, in the first couple of years, I was teaching them how to run a workshop. And because I made workshops work for me, but I invested $8,000 to learn how to speak. Then I invested $12,000 to learn how to sell. And then I invested another $5,000 to learn how to market. And so I invested all these things. And 7 months in, I learned the skill set to make a workshop work. Whereas, and then I tried to teach that to others. And some students were winning, which is great. But the majority were like, they're not really getting results at the speed they wanted to, or none at all. And rather than saying, oh, it's on them, and saying, oh, it's your fault, you didn't do the work. Well, Mary got great results. How come you couldn't do what Mary did? I have this kind of, expectation that kind of serves me but doesn't serve me at the same time. I expect 100% of my clients to get results. And I know that's unrealistic because some people don't do the work, but I want that for myself. Like I want a 100% success rate. And so we started teaching events, then some people getting results, not really. Then we started teaching like webinars and masterclasses. Then I started running group challenges and they worked for us like so good. Then I started teaching our clients on how to do group challenges, and only to realize that they were struggling with that because they were so afraid to speak to an audience, and they were so afraid with all the tech, and they were so afraid to do a presentation of their offer at the end with only 10 people in the room. And if no one said no, that's really embarrassing. And so I kept on asking myself the question, what else is there? What is an easier, simpler, faster way for them to win? And I thought, well, why don't they just do a challenge with one person? But at the start, it seemed like a shameful thing to do because we're like, no one wants to do that. That's lame. Like everyone wants to have a big challenge because it's vanity, right? And I thought, well, let's just try it. And then I even tried a couple as well. And I thought, after I did, I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then my students were doing it. And the conversions were so high. It was so easy. It got rid of all the stress. I thought, wow, this is something special. And I didn't realize it was that special until I was at Pedro Day's house. I don't know if you know Pedro Day, the challenge guy. He's the guy that built out Tony Robbins' challenge, Russell's challenge, Dean's challenge, Grant Cardone's challenge. all the big names, he designed their challenges. I was at his house and we were already running tiny challenges, but we didn't call it tiny challenge. We called it one-on-one challenge. It's, hey, Pedro, like we realized our students, they weren't really getting results with group challenges. We were teaching it and they were struggling so hard. And so now we teach one-on-one challenges. Like we tell them to do one-on-one challenges and just do the first 10, 20 or 30 like that. And he's like, what? Do what? I'm like, yeah, just a challenge that's done one-on-one. Like, you mean with you and one other person? I said, yeah. And he's like, that is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. What do you call that? Because that solves every problem that most of his clients had as well. And I said, I just call it a one-on-one challenge. And he's like, you need a better name. I'm like, okay, well, what should we call it? It's like, well, first of all, let's just brainstorm. And so we started brainstorming. Should we call it a teeny challenge, a micro challenge, a petite challenge, And then I said, what about tiny, Pedro? What about tiny? He's like, that's the name. And so we got it trademarked, everything. We got all our ducks lined up in a row to make sure, because at Richmond, I don't know if you realize this, but this will be the next hottest thing in marketing because it's the easiest, fastest, simplest way to get started online. And I hope you realize that. And so we better trademark it, release your book, do all that kind of stuff. And so we spent about 9 months keeping it a secret because I never marketed a one-on-one challenge. I just thought, just do that first, then go to group. Just do that first. I didn't realize it was a big deal. And he helped me realize that that's huge. And so, Pedro, if you're watching, it's credit to him for realizing that I had something that was worth marketing.
Few things in here. The first one is that's some secret sauce right there when it comes to marketing. Have a sexy name for your offer, for your unique mechanism. This is something that I'm big on, and I always tell our clients and partners is that, hey, you can't just call something the one-on-one challenge. That sounds dreading. It's like, dude, I don't want to do that. That sounds too much, right? But the minute you say tiny challenge, I was like, what is that? Tell me more about that, right? So having a sexy name to what you do, this is even with us. We don't call it a podcast. We call it the viral podcast system. It's a systematic way of going viral and getting attention and becoming that authority. So I love that sauce there of pay attention. Write that down, okay? It's so good. The second part to it is I love what you said about basically really aiming to get the best possible results and 100% success rate to your clients, because we are the same. I'm obsessed with making sure that our clients see the results that they come to us for, and ultimately to make them richer, because a lot of the clients that we work with, they essentially are looking for that next level. If you can become obsessed with truly getting world-class results for your clients, man, you will never struggle in business. In fact, you will never have competition, because most people in whichever niche that you're in, whichever market that you operate in, they're too lazy. They don't want to give the extra mile. They truly don't care that much about the results that they get for people.
It's very sad.
Right? Yeah. Isn't that correct? Now, another part that I want to clarify for people is what are the main differences between a tiny challenge and a group challenge?
Yeah. So tiny is done one-on-one. So it gives you ultimate flexibility. See, with the group challenge, you have to, number one, even if you could speak to an audience, and even if you knew the tech, and even if you had a validated offer, it's like, well, you got to block off a week to do it. Has to be a week that works with your time and their time. And then if I got an international audience, should I do it 10 a.m., 12 p.m.? What's the best time to do it? How do I get the best show up rate? And then, so logistically, it's a lot harder to run in a group setting, and one-on-one gives you ultimate freedom. So that's the first thing. And you got to think, when you're starting out, I get that if you're advanced, if you're on 7 figures, you might want to run a tiny challenge, but that's like, Russell Brunson did, but he charged for it. So, he charged $100,000 for a one-on-one tiny challenge. But that being said, that's the main difference. It's one-on-one, and it gives you the experience and the time and the nuances to refine your message, your niche, your offer, to get competent, to build your frameworks, to actually develop confidence within yourself that you can actually do this. And most importantly, it's the fastest way for you to get paid, because you can launch a tiny challenge literally right after this podcast. You can launch one and have it done in 5 days, but you're not going to be able to launch a webinar today because you have to fill it up. It takes 3 days to fill it up. You're not going to be able to launch a group challenge today. No way. You can't do a VSL today and launch it. That takes time. Like everything else takes time. This is the fastest way to get started. And the number one reason why entrepreneurs give up is not because they're not good enough, it's because they don't get paid fast enough. It's how to get paid fast. It's not get rich quick. It's get paid quick. And if you get paid quick, you get that taste. It's like, whoa, I can do it. And then you don't give up. Whereas if you don't get paid quick and you've been 6 months and you're trying and you haven't got your first dollar, you are probably going to give up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you need that offer validation. You need that
Yeah.
product market fit
Yeah.
and someone that literally exchange money to get a specific transformation or result that you could offer. Until you get that, I don't care how good you think your idea is or your offer or your product,
Yes.
until someone pays for it, that thing is just an idea.
Yes,
Okay. And
that's
it
right.
might go nowhere. You want to truly get as quickly as possible that confirmation that, yeah, this is something that the market is willing to pay for it,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And what I love about the Tiny Challenge is that you're essentially removing all the complexity.
Yeah.
You're taking away all the need from tech that even that alone is extremely complicated. Like us building all the funnels, all the conversion mechanisms that we have is something that not only we had to pay well over $100,000 in mentors, coaches, the systems, the learning to be able to run this thing successfully. But second, it takes time. Even if you pay some of the best people, and even when they tell you, oh, it's all plug and play, you still there's still a lot of nuances to
Yeah.
it. So it's not something that you can as quickly as you think just get it operating successfully. So I love that the Tiny Challenge is just removing all the complexity and the one-on-one thing, which is something that I want to dive deeper into. It does make it very desirable for people, right? When they can see like, hey, you're gonna spend 5 days one-on-one with me.
Yep.
Like especially beginner people, as you probably know, once you start, getting to different levels of the game, it's not so much about how much time you can spend with someone. It's about the result
Yes.
and the compression actually of how fast you can get a result with higher level people. I don't want to be spending, days on a row with my current mentor, and I paid him $100,000 to
Yeah.
be with him. But all I get is 2 half-an-hour calls. But guess what? Super high impact
Yes.
time that we do together, and that we just get straight into the constraints and the bottlenecks. And what I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the Tiny Challenge is solving that problem, making it valuable, removing all the tech complexity, and making it super desirable by that element alone. However, the first thing that came to mind when I first heard, like, wait, it's 5 days of one-on-one calls.
Yeah.
That sounds like too much.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So tell me something. What do you go in terms of the reaction of people when you explain, like, hey, you're going to be doing 5 days that are one-on-ones? And how exactly does people go about implementing this without feeling like it's super draining? And do they charge you? Tell us more about
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah, great question, by the way. So 5 days one-on-one. Initially, if we're like, oh my gosh, it seems a lot of work. They're about 45-minute calls. So here's your options. So I'll give you an example. One of my students, he was doing free discovery calls. Like that's the model. Post some content, chat them, get them on a call, and it's a sale call, do a free discovery call. And so that's what moves do free discovery calls, and then they get 10 calls and they may close 1, maybe. This client had done 50 calls and closed 0. 50
Shit.
calls.
Yeah.
50 calls. That's if he had done 10 tiny challenges, which is the same as 50 calls, he would have closed minimum 3, probably 4, 5, or 6. And if he had a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 offer, that's 10 grand for the same amount, but for 5 times less leads, because it's only, you're doing 5 calls on just one person rather than 50 calls. So it would have been way better off. So I'll give you an analogy, which I think most people will understand this. So, personal trainers, you go to a gym, personal trainers, the reason why most personal trainers are broke is because of their business model. It's not because they don't know what they're doing. Most of them have a six-pack. They're really fit, like they know how to keep fit. So they're very congruent in what they do. But you think, why are they broke? It's the business model. It's not because it's saturated. It's because it's the business model. So if you go to a gym, personal trainer will approach you, hey, would you like a free session? Sure. And you know what the deal is. If you like it, then you buy 10 sessions. And usually it's $80 a session. But if you buy 10, you get it for $700. And so that's what I literally just bought about 2 weeks ago. I bought 10 sessions because I'm training for this training thing that I'm doing. So, but that was a business model. Approach me, free session, I bought 10. Now, how many people would he need to approach to give out free sessions to sell one 10-pack? at least 10 people. And so he's done 10 free sessions, maybe even 15 free sessions to get one sale, which is $700. Now, if that personal trainer ran 3 tiny challenges, just to 3 people, 5 sessions each. Imagine a personal trainer went up to you at the gym and they said, hey, Richmond, I see you working out here. I'm giving out a free 5-day challenge, one-on-one with me for 5 days, just for 5 days, one-on-one with me, not anyone else, not a group, with me one-on-one, and it's free. You'll be like, what? 5 one-on-one with you? 5? A challenge? Yeah. So we're going to list your goals. We're going to build a plan, and I'm going to hold you accountable, and you're going to be the most fit you've ever been in 5 days. Like you will be working out crazy in 5 days. Like, okay, I'll subscribe to that, and it's free. Now, at the end of the 5 days, that personal trainer will know everything about you, your goals, what have you tried, where have you failed, your environment, your support structure, what diet are you on, what job you do, everything you want. And let's just say you're a mum that's looking to lose the baby fat and get into that dress again that you couldn't fit into since you had kids. At the end of those 5 days, the personal trainer will say, hey, Mary, I see that you have a goal to fit in your dress again so you could feel more like a woman again since you had kids. Now, I've got this 6-month program and I'm confident we can get you there with what you experienced this week. And it's only $2,500. Where to from here? That mum will be like, sign me up for that because I've been blown away by these 5 days. So now in the same time, they've sold something that's 3 times more and they'll convert 3 times higher as well. And so if a personal trainer just did 3 tiny challenges a week or even just 2 and they converted 1 into a $2,500 offer, which they can do every day, every week for that, there'll be no more broke personal trainers. Every single personal trainer will be on 6 figures. $2,500 a week times 52 is around about 130,000. Like there'll be no more broke personal trainers because of the model. So if you're a personal trainer watching this, just go out there and do it. But that's the same thing as discovery calls in the coaching space. People giving out free discovery calls, you're better off just doing a 5-day tiny challenge for the same reason as a personal trainer is better off doing that.
You said something there as well that absolutely changed my life when I realized that the model is everything to how big your business can go. I remember so vividly when one of my 8-figure entrepreneur friends, he was asking me like, hey, how is everything going? And I'm telling him all the plans, and I told him like, hey, this is what we're gonna do looking forward. And then back then he told me, hey, dude, you know that thing that you're saying that you want to now start doing on top of the done for you aspect and all that stuff? That's maybe, like maybe another 7-figure as well, right? That other idea that you said, which is the licensing of what we do, that's an 8-figure right there.
Yeah.
As soon as he said that, and he said, your model is everything, right? And I went deeper into the rabbit hole, and then I was just like, oh, I get it. This is a big part. And then you start paying attention as to what are the models, right, of other people. Going back to it as well. So the tiny challenge, you have basically these 5 days that you're spending with the person is one-on-one. As I can tell, you're suggesting if you're new to it, do it for free, correct?
Yep.
Why 5 days?
Because there's more reciprocity built. So for example, one of the key attributes of a tiny challenge is you assign homework after every call, and then you hold them accountable to doing that homework. And so they get one thing that they don't get from any other model, which is progress. And so a discovery session you don't get any progress. Even 2 calls, you don't get progress. But when you have 5 back to back, you get progress. It's like the personal training example. Like you give someone 1 free personal training session and they work out and they may be a bit sore and they feel good, but they don't feel progress. You only get progress when you have consecutive back-to-back calls, and 5 is a great number for someone to really appreciate progress. And the truth is, people want results, which is great, but they appreciate progress. And I'm sure you've experienced this before. How many times you got someone a result, but they didn't see the progress? And you get no thanks for it. And the opposite is true. Someone's like, they're not really getting that great results, but they feel like they're moving forward.
Yes.
And they feel alive. And so the progress is such an important part in a tiny challenge. And that's why 5 days. I would say you'd rather better to do 1 5-day than do 2 3 days. Don't do 2 3 days. Just do 1 5-day. You'll be better off. You'll convert higher. You need less leads. You have more reciprocity, deeper connections. it's just better that way. Just do not do the lazy approach. 5 days is going to be way better for you for conversions and progress.
And it sounds like the conversion rate usually somewhere around the 60 to
It's crazy. Like these are
but-
people who have never made $1 online, and the average, and they've never coached before. They don't even know what their offer is. The imposter is real. They've never spoken before. Some of them haven't even posted content before online. Like they don't know anything. And they do the first 10 tiny challenge. Our average is 3 out of the first 10. Like that for absolute beginner. But we get some people who convert 7, 8, 9 out of the first 10. And to your point before, when you talked about like client results, it was really funny. I was on Myron's podcast a couple of weeks ago in Tampa, and he's fascinated by the whole tiny challenge. So he said, "Hey Richmond, like, how many of your students get results from tiny challenge?" And I thought about it, and I thought, well, we haven't had one person that has not made money from it. And I thought, holy crap, is that 100%? Like, and I thought, yeah, the only person that has not made money from a tiny challenge is the person that hasn't done enough of them. Our record is they took them 12 tiny challenges before they got the first sale. 12, which is not that bad. You can do 12 in a month. And people who haven't made their first sale have only done maybe 3 or 4. They just haven't done the 5th one or the 6th one. So we have not got anyone that's done more than 12 that hasn't made money. Now, someone may break the record and maybe took them 13 before they got the first dollar, but the average person gets their first sale within the first 5. And out of the first 10 is 3. And so it's like, wow, we actually have a 100% success rate on a tiny challenge now. It's just people haven't done enough of it to get their first sale. And they just got to do 12, according to our stats, and then they're the first sale. So that's kind of the results there. But that's where we're at. It's pretty cool.
Which, just like anything, it requires repetition, right? Especially if you're coming absolutely new to testing the grounds with an offer. And I'm guessing there's a few things that come to mind with, I guess, what you see when people are implementing the tiny challenge. The first thing is that they must be building an incredible amount of goodwill and trust, right?
Huge.
So that alone, of course, the close rate is going to be absolutely incredible and out of the charts, because you're spending 5 days with that potential new customer. You're going to get to know them really well,
Yes.
right? And vice versa. They will know like, hey, yeah, clearly this person can solve my problem, so can help me get this desired outcome that I want. By the end of it, I feel like people will almost feel like really bad saying
That's right.
no, right?
But it's like that when someone watches your podcast. If someone watched 5 of your podcasts and they're generally like, say, 45 minutes long, they feel like they know you so deeply. Imagine that on a one-on-one tiny challenge.
Yeah.
Like that's just 10x.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is essentially exactly why as well we run this model of podcasting, because it's kind of the opposite in the sense that it's one to many, right? And your
Yes.
podcast episodes are 24/7 working with you, but the concept is the same as to, hey, the more time people can spend with you, whether it's in the room or listening to you and just understanding who you are, what you do, why you do what you do, your offers, that, and obviously getting clear that you understand their problems, their desired outcomes, chances are they're gonna buy from you, right? It's gonna be a matter of time when that takes.
People give you their time before they give you their money. And the more time they give you, the more money they end up giving you.
That is absolutely correct. And in terms as well of the framework, throughout those 5 days, what exactly are they looking to accomplish so that they can get a hell yes by the end of the
Yeah. So number 1,
Hey, real quick, if you're a founder, CEO, or business owner looking to build a personal brand, become a thought leader in your space, and attract premium leads, our viral video podcast systems can help. Book a call with the link in the show notes to speak with my viral podcast team today. Now back to the episode.
So design the tiny challenge. So think of a great outcome that someone could get by the end of the 5 days. So for example, if you're doing I'll give a couple of examples. So one of our students, Marlene, she was actually a PT actually. And so she started running tiny challenges. Her 5-day tiny challenge was like how to scientifically lose weight through genetic testing. And so biohacking genetic testing, it's all in now. So you can get genetic testing done and it'll tell you what foods you should eat or shouldn't eat. So over the 5 days, she analyzes the results for them, builds out a plan for them, and does some basic exercises. And at the end, they know exactly what they need to do to lose weight from a very scientific level, because it's not going to be a cookie cutter diet like every other diet out there. It's a diet tailored to them and their lifestyle. And at the end, she offers, would you like help implementing? So get people a result, give them a clear path, and sell help implementing. And at the very worst, you can sell accountability. And people, believe it or not, like accountability works for everyone, no matter how high of an achiever you are. When your coach assigns you homework, you're getting it done. Like, whether you paid 1,000 or 100,000, accountability works. So that's the principle first and foremost. You can definitely sell accountability. That's how you structure it. Think of the outcome, number one. And now how you structure the days is you obviously present the offer on the 4th or 5th day. But day one is all about seeking clarity on their goals. So I call it the 4 Fs. What do they want for their future? So elicit, what are their 12-month goals? If we were sitting down having coffee right now in 12 months' time, what would you like to report? What's their goal for the next 5 days? So what do they want for their future? Get clear on that. The second question you ask is, what are their frustrations? What's getting in the way? What's holding them back? Where are they stuck? What are the roadblocks? Get clear on the frustrations. The third F is, where have they failed in the past? So you want to know what they've tried or what they're not willing to try, or where have they been coached, or what have they done? So you want to know where they failed, so you now can build a plan based on that. And the fourth S is, what are their fears? What are they most afraid of happening if they were to win, if they were to get a result? Is it the fear of judgment, fear of success? What is it? Once you get clear on all those things on core number one, you already know what their offer is.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
There is, obviously, we spoke about the beginners, right? The people that are just getting started, and how the tiny challenge can be a great way for them to start getting validation of their offer, get some results. I'm guessing as well, getting case studies, testimonials, right?
Yep.
From people that
Yep.
got a result.
Totally. Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
So
yeah.
they can build towards the next level. Now let's talk about, higher level, 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs. As to, you mentioned Russell Brunson. He implemented the tiny challenge and he sold 100K of it, right?
Yes.
What was his result using it?
Yes. So he was so fascinated. He was like, wow, this is so cool. He asked me, can I do them? And I said, well, I guess so, but I would charge for it. Like, I wouldn't do it for free. Like, you'd get 1 million people put up their hand for that, right? And he's like, yeah, of course I would charge for it. And he's like, so you teach a free model, but can you do a paid model? Like, well, of course, you can do a free challenge or paid challenge. You can do a free webinar, paid webinar. It's free or paid. And so he ended up doing one. He charged $100,000 for it. And he put this call to action out on his podcast. Hey, I'm going to do this 5-day tiny challenge thing. I learned it from Richmond. It's only going to be for 2 people. I'm going to charge $100,000 for it. And at the end, I'm going to pitch you a $250K offer. Just letting you know, I'm just going to pitch you something. And he had 36 people apply within 24 hours. He chose his 2, to his word, he did. And he did a tiny challenge, 5 days to build out the perfect webinar. 5 days, 5 one-on-one calls with him. He charged $100,000 for it. And at the end, he actually didn't pitch his $250K offer because he was like, oh, I don't really want to fulfill on it. I can't be bothered. I just made him $100,000 to see it. So he did that. So it's scalable from a super high ticket level. But then I'll share with you something that we do now, which is like kind of mind blowing. So people think the problem with Tiny Challenge is you cannot scale one-on-one coaching, which is true. The only way to scale one-on-one coaching is to hire other coaches, but they're not the same as you, all that kind of stuff. So I ran a Tiny Challenge. I've done many of these, but I ran one recently and I made $290,000 from one Tiny Challenge, but I didn't sell a $290,000 offer. So what I did was I ran a Tiny Challenge. I charged $5,000 for it. But I said to my audience, I said, who would like to sit in on the same Zoom room while I'm doing this tiny challenge and watch me do it? And at the end, I'm going to break it down, why I asked that, how I did it, and you get to ask questions. Because if you want to run a tiny challenge, would you like to watch me do one? And I charged $97 a ticket for it, and we had 100 people buy it. And so they sat in for the whole 5 days. They watched me do it. I did Q&A at the end. And at the end, when I presented the offer, it wasn't just to that one person. It was to the whole room. And made $290K. So that's how you scale one-on-one coaching through a principle we call shadow seeding.
That is absolutely genius.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I have to deliver on this one-on-one, how much you charge for that?
Well, I charge them really cheap, like $5,000. When normally I would charge $25,000 for 5 calls one-on-one. But I said, I'll charge you $5,000 for 5 one-on-ones, tiny challenge, on the caveat that you let me have 100 people in the room to watch. Yeah. Because you're going to be a bit vulnerable and all that kind of stuff. So I'll do that. $5,000, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll let people watch. You can have how many people you want.
Makes sense because they're essentially uncovering the whole business, right? And it's
Yeah,
just in front of everyone.
exactly. So it was a win-win situation, like
Yeah.
a win-win for everyone. People watching was a win for only $97 to witness, because you can funnel hack, you can webinar hack, you can hack most things, but you can't hack a tiny challenge because you got to be in one.
Yes.
So you know what I mean? So that's how you hack
Yeah,
one.
so that's how you hack it. You just pay $97.
Yeah,
That's absolutely genius. And then at the end of each day, you do a Q&A, or towards the end of the
No,
whole fund?
each day. So the call was 45 minutes, and then the Q&A for half an hour afterwards. So each call ended up going for about an hour 15, an hour and a half total. So I went a bit longer for myself. So, so 5 calls, about 90 minutes each per call.
Dude, and I can only imagine as well, even like someone that will be charging, multiple 6 figures to do that kind of mini challenge, like, the Tony Robbins and all these big names, and then just charging people to be able to access
How
that.
much would you pay for that, right? Imagine 10 euros. I'm going to coach.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to coach
$9.97.
Yeah.
Come in and watch how.
Watch me coach this person that's on 300 million to get to $1 billion. One-on-one, 5 days. And then who'd like to buy a shadow seat for $1,000? You get to keep the recordings too. Yes,
yes, please sign me up. That is absolutely genius. Now, one thing I want to touch on is you are currently working with Maron Golden. How much do you invest for that?
550 AUD, paid in full, which is 350K USD. It was the largest investment I had made by a lot, and it was paid in full. So people think, why would someone pay that much? The thing I learned about Marin, and I already knew it already, but it allowed me to know it on a much larger scale. So, creativity follows commitment. So I'll share a story of how I got this watch. Okay?
Beautiful watch, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. It's a $56,000 watch. Yeah. And I'm not a watch person. I'm not a fancy person. I don't buy anything. So I was on a date weekend with my wife, Penny, and we were just doing a morning walk. I was in shorts. I was dressed like nobody, I'm mostly dressed like a nobody anyway. So that's just my normal dress sense. And we walked past this shop called Hublot, and she said, "Babe, you should come in and look at the watch." It's like, what for? I don't want a watch. I don't buy watches. I'm not that kind of person. You work so hard, you do well now, and you should just get something for yourself. You never buy anything for yourself. I'm like, no, I don't really want to go. Just go. It's like, you know how much I've spent on Chanel bags? I'm like, fine. She told me like 40 grand. Fine, I'm going in then, How come you get to spend so much? So I went into watch store, but I said to the person, they said, hey, welcome. My name's Mary or whatever. I'm here to serve you. Are you here just looking and watching? And I'm not just looking. I don't want to buy anything. We're just here on a walk. My wife told me to come in. And she said, sure, well, that's okay. No obligation, no pressure. And legit, there was no pressure. They even served us some sparkling water and stuff. And she said, would you like to try some on? And like, Penny's like, just try it on. I don't like trying things on if I don't want to buy it. But I tried it on anyway, tried on some various timepieces. And then she eventually went to this one and put it on me. And she told me the story. The moment she told me the story, she said, this one here, you can see the back, you can see the skeleton. And if you turn it around, it's like the Meccano set. Every boy's childhood dream, just to see how things work. You see all the mechanics and all the cogs turning and like, that's a good story. And our watchmaker came from this unique place in Switzerland or whatever, and there's only 100 of these made in the whole world, and this is the last one in Australia. And I'm like, how much is that? She said, it's 56,000. And I said, no, cool. And she's like, well, what would need to happen for you to buy it? And I thought, what a great question. Yeah. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what would need to happen? I would need to, this was about 3.5 years ago, I would need to earn $200,000 a month in my business. At the time, I was not doing that. In my business with a 70% margin for 3 months straight. So 200 consecutively with a 70% profit margin. I set myself a rule that was impossible to make. I knew it because I didn't want to buy the watch. And she was like, okay, cool. Where are you now? Well, we did 100K a month in the last 6 months. And that was it. So far from it. But I thought, well, I'm going to set myself this bind that I will never reach so I don't have to buy the watch. And she's like, oh, okay. So how long are you giving yourself? I'll give myself 90 days, 3 months to do it. Okay, and when I do it, I'll buy the watch. It's like, okay, well, this is our last one. Would you like to put it on hold and put a deposit on it, like a lay-by? because in 3 months it might not be here. I'm like, well, what's the lay-by? She's like, well, I can do it for 10,000 for you. Okay, that seemed reasonable. And for some weird reason, I thought I could get a refund on the lay-by. I just don't know why. I just thought put 10,000, I'll just get it back later on. I just put a holding deposit. So I put 10,000 down, and 90 days came by, and I didn't even hit. I think I hit one 100K month. The other 2 months were like 60 and 70, and the margins were not 70%, and I didn't hit it. 90 days came by, and I did not hit the goal. She called me and said, Richmond, have you hit your goal to get the watch? And I said, I didn't. I don't want to buy the watch anymore. Can I get a refund? It's like, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. You can't get a refund on your 10,000. We've been holding it for you. You either forfeit it or you pay the remaining 46. And I'm like, what do I do? Do I pay 46 or forfeit 10 grand? And so I don't like wasting money. So I bought it, and it's not like we were filthy rich or anything, but I didn't wear it. I bought it and I kept it on myself because I said I would hit 200K 3 months in a row and 70% margin. And I kept it on my shelf watching and staring at me every day. And you know the funniest thing happened? The next 3 months, 200, 200, 200, 70%, 70%, 70%. And in 90 days, I opened the box and I wore the watch because I hit my goal. And I learned a powerful lesson that I would have never done that if I didn't commit first. And the creativity to find a way to make 200 for 3 months straight came because I committed first. So creativity always follows commitment. A lack of creativity always comes from a lack of commitment. And if someone says, I can't think of a way, or I'm not resourceful, I can't create a way, it's because you haven't committed first. Commit first, you'll find a way. So the whole story about Myron. So it dropped 350K USD, which is 550, the first thing I thought was, how do I get my money back? And went to his 2-day event as part of the course, and pretty much after I signed up. And Myron is famous for teaching you on how to sell 100K offers. He's also famous for teaching you how to sell a 250K offer, 500K offer, $1 million offer. Like, he's probably the only person that I know that sells $1 million offer apart from Tony Robbins. But he's the only person that teaches you on how to build it and sell it. Now, after doing his 2-day event, within 24 hours, sold our first $1 million offer. And there was no way that we would have sold that if I didn't drop 350K. Million US, by the way, if I didn't drop 50K, because I would not be thinking what would be in one, how do I create one, how do I sell it, who do I sell it to? I wouldn't be thinking on that level unless I dropped it. But because I committed first, creativity came later. Creativity always follows commitment.
Incredible things happen when you just go all in,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that's a powerful lesson that I also learned myself. And even your story of the watch reminds me of mine. Getting my first Rolex, same thing, a $24,000 watch.
Yeah.
And just even thinking of that, to the point I've never spent that kind of money on
like
something
you want to
that
vomit.
yeah, exactly. Like, even coming from a completely broke background of a third world country, so it was a big moment for me to even commit that much. But then that just told me, like, hey, you need to be all in with things, and incredible, magical things can take place when you are all in, whether it's with a watch, with a mentor. Same thing with this current mentor. When I even the thought of investing $100,000 on a mentor, that was so foreign to me. I would have never, you would have asked me like a year and a half ago before, I would have been like, no way, absolutely
Me too,
no. That no way I will ever be even in a position where I can commit that kind of, capital to something like that. And eventually you do it, and then you just realize, I can't believe I did this sooner, right? Because the
Yes.
transformation happens as soon as you do that transfer.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wouldn't you
So
agree?
good.
So yeah, incredible. And I'm curious to hear, because you have sold $1 million offer.
Yes.
What exactly goes into $1 million offer?
Everybody wants to know what is in a $1 million offer. So we launched kind of with my other business partner, Kaylee. So she was at the event too. So we launched a speaking tournament called Next Top Speaker, and bought the domain for like over $40,000. And I was surprised it was for sale. No one was using it, and got the trademarks and everything. So it's a speaking tournament, and it's virtual. It's a first virtual speaking tournament, and it's international. Everyone can enter. And we're going to do smaller rounds, which we just ran one a couple of weeks ago. But eventually, there's going to be a big finale where the winner wins $1 million cash prize. And so it's the only tournament that has a prize of that large to that scale. And our vision for that is there's going to be special guest judges judging that final winner, and the judges could be the likes of Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, Myron, like all that kind of stuff. Kind of like the X Factor or America's Got Talent for speaking, right? So $1 million cash prize plus opportunity to be featured in our magazine that we launched as well, and also the branding opportunities and the title. Like once you win that tournament, you're going to get speaking gigs for the rest of your life. And so the concept is amazing, and we've already got the deliverables. We already ran a few successful tournaments, or Kaylee has anyway. And so it's been validated. The business model has a strong back end. So it's free to enter, but when they enter, the funnel is a $47 VIP upsell. Would you like a 5-day speaking challenge to help you become the next top speaker? So the $47 funnel, the upsell was like almost 20%. And so the 5-day challenge, they do the 5-day challenge to learn how to become next top speaker, learn how to create their ultimate winning 7-minute speech. And then at the end of the 5-day challenge, we sell a 5K program. And so that's the business model. And then the 5K program leads to then the 30K. So the back end is so strong from this. The front end, how do we self-liquidate that? Number one, the VIP, but also we needed a sponsor. Someone that believed in this so much that would get leverage from this. And so we sold a $1 million offer, which is a $1 million sponsor.
That is absolutely genius. And in terms of the revenue potential of what you're about to do here, what are you projecting for this?
Yeah, we really believe this is going to be a $100 million business. It's because it's not to one industry. So see, for me, I can only coach coaches, whereas speaking is for multiple industries, and it's broader. It can be for corporates, real estate agents, PTs, health. There's so many industries. And it's a skill set that's going to be more valuable as AI takes over. And so soft skills are going to be more valuable than hard skills, because hard skills can be done through AI or technology. But soft skills like leadership and speaking is going to be more valued over time because the human interaction and leadership and stuff. So for that reason, I mean, the trend is there, mass market, mass appeal. It's got an entertainment factor as well. It can be sold as a reality show. Like there's so many avenues to go. And plus the business model works. Like it's got the back end, it's got the VIP. So the essential model works. And that's why we believe it's going to be 100 million.
This is as well the speaking side of things. Like who can get benefit from becoming a better speaker? That's the actual question, right?
For confidence even or whatever. Yes.
Like there's you're using communication 24/7.
Yes.
Whether it's with your team, with customers, with friends, with loved ones. There's no way you won't get benefit out of it. I love that. This is a this or that segment. So you just choose one or the other.
Uh-oh. Gonna get in trouble.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Sushi or steak?
Steak.
Expert or jack of all trades?
Expert.
Product or service business?
Service.
CEO or founder?
Founder.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Instagram or YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube or X?
YouTube.
YouTube or Facebook?
YouTube.
YouTube or LinkedIn?
YouTube.
Photos or videos?
Photos.
Short form or long form video content?
Long form.
Newsletters or podcasting?
Podcast.
My man.
Yeah.
Organic or paid marketing?
Organic.
1 million followers with low conversions or 1,000 raving fans?
1,000 raving fans. I would get 100 raving fans. Yeah.
Building a talent or hiring a talent?
Hiring a talent. Yeah.
A talent at a high price tag or multiple cheap C talent?
A high price tag. Yeah.
Property investing or shares?
Property.
Property investing or crypto?
Property.
Property investing or Bitcoin?
Property.
Property investing or buying businesses?
Property.
Building a business or buying a business?
Buying.
Passion 6-figure business or stressful 8-figure business?
Stressful 8-figure business. I can't believe I said that. Yeah.
Sales or marketing?
Marketing.
And the most important one, group challenge or tiny challenge?
Tiny challenge.
Nice one. After making millions of dollars, what's the most painful lesson you have learned scaling to 8 figures?
painful, but also a gift at the same time. You know, when you grow, when you change, when you go through transition, you find out who your real friends are. You know, every problem you face is an opportunity. I say achievement only proves one thing: is a person's competency. So when you achieve something, you're highly competent. Great. When you go through adversity, it proves your character, but it also proves your social circle's character as well. And so the toughest thing going to 8 figures is that losing people who you thought would be on the journey with you, that were never on the journey with you, but that's great because it could be worse. I mean, you really want to find out who your true friends are early rather than later, but it never gets easier. And I'm sure the time we get to 9 figures, I will think, wow, I thought that person would be there because they were there for me at the 8-figure mark. And now like they, I don't know, undermined you, or they got triggered, or they couldn't deal with it, or whatever the thing is. But I just don't know who that person is. And there's going to be a person who will be with me and help me all the way through. And I'd be surprised I didn't think that person will be the most loyal person. So that is the difficulty in growing.
You have invested over $1 million on coaches, mentors, and basically getting to 8 figures, and even being around people like Myron Golden, Russell Brunson, and many other big names. What's the biggest lesson you have gotten from these really high level entrepreneurs?
Yeah. And they'll say this as well. The speed to implementation is very short. It's extremely short. And it kind of goes what you said about getting outcomes, not time. Like, pay $100,000 and only get like 2 one-on-one calls. Well, no, but you get the outcome. And so they're extremely outcome focused, which means that they don't allow themselves time to fester in a story of why it won't work for them. And the more time I spend with high-level entrepreneurs, the more I realize that their speed to implementation is so fast. And people might say, oh, that's easy for them because they've got a big team and they could just, hey, I just learned this thing, and they've voxed their team, and can you implement it straight away? And that's fun, but they didn't start with a team, and they were like that without the team. And so if you see how fast people implement, and that's how you can spot talent from very early on. And, we got a lot of students, and I can see someone who's on 0, but I know they're going to get to $1 million by the speed at which they implement and the less questions they ask about as to why it won't work for them. And you just know they're going to make it. It's just a matter of time. Whereas other people, it's like, I told you that 3 months ago. Are you still stuck on the imposter? Like, you know what I mean? So speed to implementation is one of the key attributes.
What's the worst business advice you have ever received?
I think the worst business advice, it was great advice. It just didn't come with a caveat. Like, just follow as I do and you'll become successful. But the caveat should be use your discernment as well, because I know you're probably getting advice from 5 other mentors.
What's the best piece of business advice you have ever received?
100%. Everything in your life, all your results, your values, your beliefs, everything is dictated by who you spend time with.
Richmond, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Where can people find you, learn more about Tiny Challenges, and ultimately connect with you?
You can just go straight to richmonddinh.com. That's it.
As usual, the links will be down below. And if you enjoyed this episode, if you found value, or you know any other founders, entrepreneurs that will benefit from this conversation, all I ask is share it with them. Other than that, all the links are down below. We'll see you on the next episode. Good vibes. Hey legends, my goal with Founders Playbook is to help 1 million entrepreneurs build successful personal brands and businesses so that they can increase their impact and profits. You can support the mission by simply sharing the podcast with other founders and entrepreneurs. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on social media. Let's get to work.